And in the upper left, in the blue, he's playing for R8. He's the Terran player. It's Kelazhur.
And his opponent spawning down in the bottom right for Onside Gaming. It is Firefly. Is that right? No, that's not right.
It's almost right. And I love it. So Onside got merged with bot out.
Okay, I almost did it. I almost said Offside Gaming. I was like, no, that's onside. No, it's offside. You're right. Yeah.
The logo is rotated is pretty much what it is. But look at this, Kelazhur. This is harkened back to a couple years ago, Steadfast, when this was the opening every single time. Like every single TVP, we'd see a Terran go proxy, but not really.
Yeah.
Try to mess with their opponent, and Kelazhur's doing it again. Pretty much the least proxy of all proxies.
Yeah, it's like, it's so close that if the probe just checks this little corner, it will get spotted. Now, you do often see situations like this where the Protoss player doesn't go right to the edge, and that's kind of what you're banking on here. And it's hoping for an overreaction. Obviously, it forces out that gate cybernetics core, which is already quite nice. Against a player like Showtime, it can be really good because he loves his gate cybernetics core more than most, but forcing out a Zealot, also pretty good too. We are going to see Firefly trying to block the factory. That's a cute little response to this. Just block the placement, and he does force the delay on that actually quite significantly. That was like 32 gas. I think he was sitting on after he started the factory. So that was, yeah, like maybe 8 or 10 seconds later on that factory. Cute stuff. And Kelazhur actually doesn't confirm the kill on the probe. That's a little bit surprising. Maybe didn't want to show where that Reaper, or yeah, show where the Reaper was. Huh.
But Firefly still calls Kelazhur's bluff anyways, right? Despite not knowing where the barracks is, and now this probe will go down. Firefly doesn't build a Zealot early. He doesn't do anything super crazy. He does. No, I'm sorry. He did build a Zealot. Apparently,
yeah, he did. Yeah.
I just blinded. I can't watch the production tab. But what you can do if you're forced to build a Zealot, you're not super happy about it, you can run it on the other side of the map and start to do some damage to a supply depot, force the repair on that, force a Widowmine to maybe shoot its shot a little bit earlier, which is honestly as much of a nice scout as it is anything else for Firefly. And the Stalkers are all out, but they were not able to zone the Reaper out, which is, I think, the goal of where Firefly was positioning this. He will get this Reaper, but not after it's a full scout of the main base. Not after Firefly is revealed of the fact that, yeah, this is a Stargate opener. This is not Twilight, so that's going to play fairly different. And actually, Firefly, oddly enough, he keeps the Zealot alive.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Obviously, there was a Widowmine out here for Kelazhur, and would have been easy to lose that Zealot, but keeping it alive is a good thing. He can potentially bait out a mine shot later with that, or, you know, if you manage to keep it alive until charge is done, that's also quite nice. This is very strange from Firefly. It's kind of a big deal that Kelazhur got the scout on that Stargate, because we do see 2 and now 3 Stalkers. And when you see just 2 Stalkers to start things off, you're not going to be expecting Stargate. And it could have very easily been a situation where Kelazhur runs, you know, 2 Widowmines and a Medevac into 2 Phoenix. Then you just lose that whole drop, and it's a really bad position for Terran from that setup. But as it stands right now, it will be a situation where Kelazhur is able to stay at home. Oh, but oh my God, he actually does move out with a Medevac. Whoa, okay. I was not looking for that. He loses the Medevac, forced to burrow the mines. This is a very dangerous situation for Kelazhur. He's going to have to move this command center away. Widowmines will come back. Oh, I like this spot from Firefly, looking for those mines. He could actually go for a lift on one of those Cyclones. Does get the kill. Will cost him the Phoenix, not quite. Zealot's still alive, actually really helping Firefly a lot in this. Oh, but the Widowmine does get the kill on the interception. That's a pretty big mistake right there from Firefly. That was a Phoenix. Yeah. Even with that, though, this is an amazing start for the Protoss player.
It really is. And he's going to get both Widowmines. So I like what Kelazhur did, where he put 2 Widowmines kind of both on the reinforcement line. So you're going to get a Stalker, you're going to get both Phoenix, but that also means that they both went off to kill 1 Phoenix. And they both,
exactly. I was just going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to go down to the end. Now, this is a Raven response to a Phoenix opener, Steadfast. Already we saw the drop go down, and Widowmine drops against Phoenix openers are not particularly good. And now he's going Raven interference matrix off of this as well. Against a player, by the way, Firefly, who is known for not really going robo plays. You don't want to lose these Phoenix, though. That's not great.
Oof.
But Firefly is one of these players that is like the least likely to go a Colossus opening of anyone in StarCraft, honestly. He's got Twilight goes down, immediate charge behind this. He's a Phoenix charge guy. He's a Blink charge guy. He's a charge guy. And he's just a charge guy. That has got to be his favorite upgrade. So to opt into this anti-Colossus idea is just... I don't know that Kelazhur is studied Firefly as much as maybe he studied some of his other opponents, because what Kelazhur is doing right now is kind of opting into how Firefly wants to play anyways.
Well, it's interesting because I'm with you on that a little bit, but Kelazhur, he's also with you on that because that was a fake upgrade on the Raven. He actually canceled it and instead only goes for the single Raven. Very, very neat, especially against the Phoenix play. I will say, I think you actually can keep those Ravens alive when you go so heavy into Cyclones early on. But this is kind of funny because it would have been... Like, the Raven is still actually going to be able to stay alive pretty easily. But if he had actually let that Raven number 2 and the Interference Matrix finish, that wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world because he just killed most of the Phoenixes. There's only one left. But against this charge lot play, it is going to end up being a good decision to only have the one Raven, because you can still get that anti-armor missile. You can still drop auto turrets, which are very beneficial. This is a game where I think it's pretty even going into the mid game. We've got a third command center from Kelazhur that's rather quick. Firefly, though, he might be saying, you know what, I got my charge upgrade. He's a very aggressive player. He might just go for it. But I do want to say I love this wall in the natural from Kelazhur. Those barracks could help a lot.
I was gonna say, it's like, yeah, you know, Firefly's aggressive, sure, but this SimCity's beautiful. Now we're gonna see the bunker go down very quickly. Tank gets lifted here, and there's no shutdown on the Phoenix for just a little bit longer. Zealots are now gonna try to get on top of these tanks, and Firefly, he needs another round of warp-ins, but he knocks down the first level of stag defense. Stalkers are gonna have to kite away, and remember, Steadfast, they don't have blink. They don't have this ability to blink around and move in and move out and kite around. So the first round of this attack, it shuts the tank down, absolutely, and knocks the bunker down. But it does not kill Kelazhur. And by the way, on the other side, Ravens are trying to get some damage. They haven't gotten a ton of probes just yet, but that's going to change very quickly into this natural. So 3 probes are going to go down, maybe a 4th. There we go. And Firefly continues to try to push his advantage here. He's got +1 armor. These units don't die all that quickly. He's going to continue to shut down some of the SimCity. And more importantly, Blink is about 20-25 seconds out. That's truly when he's going to want to fight. And Kelazhur, I do not like stimming back out any further forward. As long as you're staying on your natural, you're safe. But to move out, to give Firefly the fight that he's looking for, that is not how you want to do this.
I don't know that he knows that there's this pylon. I think he just spotted it, maybe. I will say these Cyclones have been very helpful in these fights for Kelazhur quite a bit. Force field, oh, good job to utilize that. And actually does force the Cyclone to take a weird route. Firefly getting a ton of value off of this. He is playing Gateway Man through and through. 4th Nexus on the way and still on a relatively low supply, but he's actually got an upgrade lead. Brilliant force field, going to catch a bunch of these units, and he's looking for the lift up, but won't be able to find it. Good job from Kelazhur. Timing his lift up nicely. Widowmines get some big shots, and most of the Zealots have gone down. Kelazhur will be able to hold this. Firefly, I think he needs to back away. He's got a bunch more Zealots about to warp in, so at least wait for that next round. There is no Robo on the field, and there's no Oracle for detection. Oh my god, if Firefly gets his command center, that would be gigantic. Kelazhur needs to pull the SCVs. He is pulling them in here. One more volley. Gets the command center just before the repair goes down. Everything up until that point was not so bad for Kelazhur, and probably even, I would say, good. But now, not so much losing that. Good job from Kelazhur spotting that there's the shield battery at basically every base. Will wait until it's double auto turret so we can burn down those probes. Battery overcharge not going to keep it alive even through the even with that. It's the double turret is just too much DPS, too much burst. We do see an Oracle being created, by the way, for that detection. I love that. He doesn't have the Robo. It's a ways away. He wants to keep the aggression up and keep the unit production up, so he's going to go for this instead. Oh, Raven got F2'd back across the map, and Firefly will get the kill there. That's pretty nice, but Widowmine dropping the main.
Ooh, and Firefly is not... Okay, no, he's going to have the pull in time. Very nice there. He's going to lose one more... No, he's not, because it's in the gas. That's really nice, but this is a late pull in the natural... You know what, Steadfast? considering everything that's happened, the fact that he's only lost 4 probes out of this with how slow these pulls have been is actually, this is 4 probes for 4 Widow Mines. You're not upset about that in the slightest.
No, but you are upset about this attack coming through the middle. This is just 2 gas charge lot from Firefly, so he is, or charge lot soccer, I should say. Good blink away from that Widow Mine, but this is a lot of army for Kelazhur. He has yet to take a map here. We are going to see a big flank. I was just going to say he'd love to take the map right here. Good kiting from Kelazhur, able to get away from that Zealots around. Nice target fire on the medevacs. That is going to make it so that stimming these units is not easy. And one of these medevacs is actually out of energy, so it's effectively only 2 at the moment. But Kelazhur will have 2 more popping out. Another big stim. If there's an opportunity for Firefly to snipe down 1 or 2 more of these medevacs, could be a big issue with healing. But for now, Kelazhur is really on his horse and is pushing this issue hard.
Here's the big deal. +2 is about 15 seconds away. +2 armor just a little bit further. It's getting thrown out, but Firefly has committed, that's a massive mine shot. Firefly has committed so much into trying to make sure that this army, even if it is only gateway units, and therefore just by default not as good as what the Terran has, making sure the upgrades are there. He went for very quick armor, very quick second forge, but he's not able to do it. So Kelazhur's doing a really nice job of taking advantage of these timings where the upgrades are the same to try to go and really punish this hard, and he's been doing a great job. Resources lost 3,000 to almost 4,000, or 2,000 almost 3,000 in favor of Kelazhur at this point. His army continues to run forward. Widow Mines are going to get sniped down. Very nice there, but the army supply is so far in favor of Kelazhur at this point. The upgrades are done, sure, but there's nothing to take advantage of them whatsoever. Kelazhur is going to get on top of the 4th base now, and there is really not a lot that Kelazhur or that Firefly can do to defend this. He's going to lose this base. Certainly Kelazhur's still only on 2, and that's a problem. But the economic advantage has been mostly reset by this, and it's all going to be about the flanks now for Firefly. All about this ability to maybe find some crazy engage, but lacking splash. It's 86 army supply to 49. It's a 1 upgrade lead. It's really hard. It's not easy.
Yeah, it is not so easy at all. I would love to see Kelazhur committing even harder into the Widow Mines than he's been. Against this charge lot soccer, mass Widow Mine is so good, and there we go. He's got a couple more Widow Mines on the field. He could be up to like 8 or 10 Widow Mines, but he is doing a great job of this in general. This 1 Widow Mine finally going to get taken down. It got so many kills before it was taken out itself. Firefly, he is going to try and find an opening in this on this 3rd base. Does allow him to get into the natural, but there's those Widow Mines that got some decent shots on this as well. Quite a few kills, and this little Zealot run by started out as a pretty big Zealot run by, but turns into a little one over time. Firefly also lost his Oracle, which means now there's no detection whatsoever for the Widow Mines. And Kelazhur is looking very poised to finally get his first map in the group stages here.
Yeah, that he is. He does lose the 3rd base early on, and that doesn't feel good, but he's playing patient for the most part. He understands where his timings are. He understands when he gets that insane cost-effective bio-ball that gateway units just really do struggle against without some disruptors or random DTs or something. So Firefly's going to have to opt in the fight right now. Widow Mines are going to be decent, and the Zealots are going to try to get on top of things. Again, remember, Firefly has the upgrade advantage, but does not have the supply advantage. And Kelazhur, he gets his first map at IEM. He's got his first map in this tournament.
Yeah, it's that's nice. That's nice for Diego, because you don't want to go, obviously you still get a pretty nice paycheck regardless. You're still going to walk away, even if you didn't win a single map, you're still going to walk away with $3,000. But these players, they've got a lot of pride, as they should. They are phenomenal at what they do. So at the very least, you want to be able to take a map and a series. Now, Kelazhur is he's already locked into last place in the group. Unfortunately, he cannot catch Firefly. Firefly has too many map wins. But at the very least, you win the show match, there's an extra $500 in your pocket, and you feel a lot better about going 1-4 than you do about going 0-5. That is for damn sure.
Yeah, certainly. And it's for prize, it's for money, it's for kind of validating your results. It's for validating the fact that you have a new team. Because R8 Kelazhur did just join R8. That's kind of important to point out. And realistically, the reason that these teams are picking up StarCraft players is because of EWC at the end of the year. So Kelazhur is not going to qualify directly into that. He's going to have to go through open qualifiers, but anything he can do to improve his lot does mean more EPT points, maybe does maybe even just give him better seeding into those qualifiers. Although, granted, again, he cannot improve his position in the group at this point. So there is that. But we're going to have to see what happens. Firefly, Kelazhur, Game 2 is Site Delta. That's also a map that is... So Firefly has this one style that he plays, which is he's got 2 gas, heavy upgrades, tons and tons of Zealots, Gateway Man. We saw that in Game 1. It almost broke through Kelazhur, but not quite. And Site Delta is not really a map that this works particularly well on. You try to go in the natural where there's a high ground, low ground. That's hard to break. The choke around the third base is not too hard. It's not the easiest thing to break. It's a little bit smaller. So there are definitely angles you can find, absolutely. But if Firefly is going to play the same thing he did, you would think at this point, Kelazhur's like, okay, this is Firefly. You know, I'm just going to play safe. I'm going to play defensive. I'm going to maybe keep my third base on the high ground a little longer, because I know Firefly, even if he's going to get 4 bases, it's a 4 base all in. It's not 4 base into the late game. He's going to stay on 2 gas the entire time.
Not a guarantee that he doesn't tech out of it, but he definitely prefers to stay on that very low tech, high mobility army. And we'll see if he goes for that again here in game number 2. Let's get into it.
And the bottom right, he's up 1, finally getting his first map win here at IEM Katowice. He's for R8. It's Kelazhur.
And his opponent spawning up at the top left for Offside Gaming. It is Firefly in the red.
Don't worry, Steadfast. I'm an American, you're a Canadian. Clearly, we don't know what offside means anyways. You know, soccer's not really a thing for us, or football, I guess. But anyways, Kelazhur, he's proxying the barracks this time. Game 1, he proxied it in just the most technical word that I've ever seen, and that he just put it outside of his main base. But he's got double racked proxy coming up in this game number 2. Ooh. On this idea that maybe Firefly is going to look in the main base and see pretty much what he saw last time and read that it's the same thing as last time.
That is possible, but you will see the lack of a second gas. You will see the lack of a second depot. And if Firefly is paying attention, and he's a good player, he should know that this is going to be proxy 2 racks Marauder. That is what this lack of a second gas dictates. I don't imagine that Firefly is going to miss this. We do see a probe coming just shy of scouting this. Oh man, that would have been huge. For one, knowing exactly where it's coming from, and 2, confirming exactly what it is, because I mean, that's a big deal. It might seem weird to go for a Nexus against a 2 racks play like this, but it does actually mean that your shield batteries will start with full energy, which is a big deal. Now, obviously, you know, if you put everything into the defense on this, like you build like 4 shield batteries instead of that Nexus, it's going to make it easier to defend. But it's also going to be a little bit more difficult to transition out of. And then if your opponent gets damaged, things can get a little bit awkward. Kelazhur will kill his opponent's probe. That's actually a little bit awkward from Firefly. Firefly actually going to get the jump on the Marauder a little bit, and there's no concussive shells, so we'll force this back, but that's actually going to be a fair bit of damage to the shields.
Firefly was also pretty slow about starting that Stalker. The Cyber was done.
He was actually very slow about it. Yeah, it should be done. It should be done by now, like a while ago, actually. Oh, I love that engineering bay block. That is so cute. No probe pull. You can't surround the Marauders now.
And that means the shield battery's dead. Second one's going to fall down here as well. There's just nothing you can do to defend it. The Stalker's going to take a ton of damage, runs away, and this is snowballing. All because Firefly was 10 seconds late on the Stalker, 5 seconds late on the Stalker, whatever it was.
It was even more than that.
Yeah, it was just slow. It was not there. Firefly had the money for it, but he was dealing with other things. Now this means life gets very complicated, but the Nexus is done. So not only do you have a shield battery that started with full energy, you also have an overcharge. That does mean that it's going to be hard to kill things. So yeah, Steadfast, it's dicey, it's awkward. You do have to be very careful about things, but Kelazhur's also very supply blocked. He's at 31 out of 31. He's been that way for quite a while. So even as he's in this opportunity to get some damage, that supply depot is very late. And that means the Marauder count is not going to snowball nearly as fast as he would like to. So really, actually, both players in their production just a little bit slower than they would like it to be.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest deal, though, is that Kelazhur has done this on site Delta. This is one of the worst maps to do this on because of the ramp at the natural.
Yeah.
Firefly is going to be able to hold this a lot easier than on a map like Solaris or Hard Lead or just any map that doesn't have that ramp at the natural. Now, Marauders do still pack a punch. This is still very dangerous. Shield Battery actually keeping that one stalker alive for a long time. Very nice force field, and that's going to allow this Zealot to get a lot of whacks on those two Marauders. That was an exquisite force field from Firefly. Very nice.
Very well done. At that point, it really feels like this should be the end of things, but
well, I mean, there's still only one gateway. This is still scary.
It is still scary, but Kelazhur's on double Tech Lab Marauder, by the way. He's got Stim on the way behind this. This is committed. He's not trying to macro out of this in any way, shape, or form. He wants to end the game with this one way or the other. And again, 2 Marauders at a time make it that much scarier. As you said, only one gateway, but the second one's done now, and the Robo is going to complete soon, which means Immortals are going to be a really nice answer to this. Warp Prism is also really awesome, so you can just pick up whatever is a concussive shelled and put it a little bit safer. So the longer this goes on, even as we say, hey, double rack Stim is terrifying, the longer this goes for Firefly, the better it is, because it really has just been trading army for army. There's been no economic damage, really no production damage going down. The next timing steadfast, Stim, 25 seconds or so, 30 seconds or so. Kelazhur, he's going to have to get so much done with that.
Yeah, and I don't see how he's going to. Now there are 2 gateways. There is that Warp Prism, and that will allow what you're talking about, the ferrying around of the units. Firefly has seen, and now will confirm even more so, that his opponent has really heavily committed to these Marauders. He's got to get that Warp Prism back. He actually does need this for the fight. His opponent has way more Marauders. But it is worth noting that every time Kelazhur stims, he's got about 1 stim before his units get obliterated by his own destruction. We are going to see the Cybernetics core going down. That's actually, well, that's actually not so bad for Firefly, weirdly, because he can just warp in Zealots, but he can't at the moment because he is supply blocked at 62. Ooh, that's a potentially big problem. Just now starts the pylon. Obviously, this is a tense situation. Firefly, will he be able to make this hold? The force field is not particularly helpful. Battery overcharge. Oh, Firefly. Okay. Very awkward targeting there from Kelazhur. The battery overcharge not saving that one Immortal. It actually is another shield battery, but it doesn't even matter. This is going to be an easy hold. Firefly will take game number 2.
Yep, Kelazhur is functionally dead. He's building Marauders and trying to run them into the naturals. Like, come on, I'm going to get some probes. It's going to be good. But there are shield batteries here, and Immortals do, or Marauders do not kill probes all that quickly. They're good against probes because you can kind of kite them away and eventually chunk them down, but 2 Marauders do not outdamage a shield battery for now. So 3 Marauders are going to stim back home. They're going to run away desperately, and that's just about the end of Marauder production because the army is here. It's ready to go. The tech labs are both going to get shut down. The barracks are going to get shut down. There's a starport. There's a factory back at home, and they are building Vikings and Cyclones, but to be totally honest, Steadfast, I don't really see any opportunity for Kelazhur to defend this push. There are Immortals, there's Warpins, there's a 3rd and 4th gateway on the way, there's a ton of Stalkers here, there's a Sentry just for Guardian of Shield to make sure things die a little bit slower. I mean, I guess there's a bunker, but bunkers with Marauders generally are not as effective as bunkers with Marines in them, and it's still only 1.
Yeah, and these sentries warping in mean he's going to be able to prevent any repair on those bunkers. There's that perfectly placed force fields. 2 of them going to get this. 3rd one and 4th one on the 2nd bunker. And Kelazhur, he is going to be forced to tap out. I was going to say, there's no way he holds this. Like, absolutely none. Firefly doesn't hesitate, goes for the jugular, and evens the series at 1 apiece.
That he does. So, 1 more game for $500. Always pretty fun. By the way, updates on the other side of things. Cyril and Bjorn is on map 1. No, so they're in highlights, I guess. And it looks like, as far as I can tell, based on how the highlights are going, it does seem like Cyril did win game number 1. So I think that by itself might lock Cyril into first. No, they're still 4-0, so it goes to by series score first. Bjorn's gonna have to reverse sweep.
Oh, no, that's the series, actually. They're showing highlights of the whole series. Yeah, Cyril 2-0'd. So he does go 10-0, 5-0, 10-0. Now, does not drop a map in groups.
Very nice there. Well done, Cyril. I was looking at it. Like, I think my question going into Group C was like, okay, what does Cyril do? Does he 10-0? Does he drop a map? And the answer at the end of the day was No, he's not going to drop a map. I think that was kind of the mean result for Iligulak. Also, of course, Skillous is up 1-0 on Estrella. He has to 2-0 Estrella. That's the thing. But he's got a pretty decent position in game number 2, as it's just mass stalker shenanigans. Like I'm looking at the game right now, and there have got to be like 100 stalkers on screen, maybe even more. It is. It's actually kind of ridiculous how many stalkers that have been made. And to keep you updated, we are going to have a tiny break before we go into game 3. So one player has requested a restroom break. And when I say a break, I mean, it's going to be a little bit longer. We're not going anywhere. Don't worry. But this is wild. They're like, this has got to be 125 stalkers that I'm looking at on the screen right now. That's so silly.
120. Sorry. Oh, wow. Okay. You're talking about Estrella Skillous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so we talked about how this match that we're covering does not have the highest stakes. The one between Skillous and Estrella has the biggest stakes. And actually, it looks like Skillous is, I mean, he's up 1-0. He might actually make it into playoffs, which after his start would be insane.
Yeah, he starts 0-3. He starts like 1-6 in map score, I think. Like, just really not in a good spot. He's tweeting about how he doesn't feel good about his play. And then, well, he's up 1-0 on a stray. He's actually going to try to break him right now. He's not trading well, but he's doing the Hellraiser Gateway Man thing. He's got so much more money.
The Cristiano Gateway thing, do you mean?
Yeah. I don't know why, for whatever reason, Hellraiser and Cristiano occupy like the same slot in my mental storage. It's like, for whatever reason, Kelazhur and Euthermal are when I'm trying to come up with their names, I swap them around, and I have no idea why. But regardless, he's trying to do the Gateway Man thing, just tons and tons of income and shoving through even down a bunch of resources. But, well, actually, it looks like he's going to bust through this. He's up on upgrades, too. So, yeah. Skillous, I think, might have just qualified to the playoffs.
It's very close, but he might have done so. And that would be so sad for us. Like, obviously amazing for Skillous, but so sad for Estrella. Because Estrella was, they had polar opposite starts to the group stage, and for Estrella to lose out, actually, yeah, no, it's over. Oh, it's completely over. Skillous is going to make the playoffs. Oh my God, that is insane.
That is pretty wild, because remember, Estrella, he takes a map off Beyond, which, considering the group stage that Beyond has had, is pretty fantastic. He goes 2-0 Kelazhur, which is not surprising. Kelazhur hasn't had the best results. And then he T1s. Oh, you know what? I guess maybe the better way to say that is Estrella's the front half of his group was very bottom loaded, right? He plays Firefly, he plays Kelazhur, he plays the kind of the two expected bottom 2 players in his group. And then he goes and plays Beyond and Sterile. So it's like, yeah, you know, he starts 2-0, or 2-1, but those were that's kind of the expected result. And when we looked at this group, we kind of said it was coming down to the Firefly series and the Skillous series. He did as expected against Firefly, but Skillous, not quite the same way. So yeah, Skillous, this is his first offline playoffs appearance, I think, across all events.
No, he made playoffs at Home Story Cup, but this is definitely the biggest offline playoffs result for sure for him. But regardless, we're going to get into our series here, because that's what we're focused on. Congratulations, though, going out to Skillous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're going to get into this one.
Yeah, we get into this one. The bottom right, his Marauders didn't quite work. It's Kelazhur.
And his opponent spawning up the top left. It is Firefly for Offside Gaming.
What do you think, Steadfast? We're in game number 3. It's not going to be Proxy Marauder again. In fact, it's not going to be Proxy at all. Does Kelazhur figure out exactly what it is that Firefly wants to do? Does he just play defensively? Does he have some extra level of shenanigans on his own? What do we see here? I mean, it is Oceanborn. It is a more defensive map. Certainly, that's something you got to take into account. But, I mean, it almost feels like you can tell what Firefly is. He's very good at reading, but also we know how he's going to want to play.
I mean, likely, yeah. Likely he is going to go for that Gateway Man style. It's not... I think it's unfair to say it's a foregone conclusion. It's definitely a preferred play style. But I don't think as Kelazhur you can just be like, okay, my opponent is definitely going to go 8-gate charge lot stalker. I think if you play that way, you are getting yourself you can get yourself into a trap very quickly of getting counter meta. It doesn't mean Firefly won't play that way. I just don't think Kelazhur should super hard metagame it. But we'll see. Maybe he does, and maybe he's got something special prepared for it. But either way, let's we got a little bit of time before the question is answered of what the tech is going to be from both players.
Absolutely. So we just get to move on a little bit. I guess the one thing, actually, you talk about tech being answered. The one thing to point out is that Kelazhur is going a little bit more aggressive with his opener, right? It's Barracks, Double Gas, Factory, then your Command Center. It's not a Reaper expand. This does unlock quicker Widowmine drops. This unlocks maybe Hellion drops if that's what you want to go for. It speeds up a lot of your aggressive timings, which, hey, that makes sense. So maybe if you want to try to kind of sweep the leg from Firefly before he's properly set up. And for Firefly, it's going to be a very quick Twilight. We're not going to see the Stargate we saw in game 1. We're not going to see a quick Robo opener or something. This is pretty much a standard. It's a quicker Twilight. It's actually it's a very quick Twilight coming out of Firefly. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes from there.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. It's actually, he didn't cut a gateway unit for it, so it's not like an insanely fast Twilight like we've seen Parting after he came back going 1 unit Twilight Council. This was still a double unit before Structure, I believe, but it will be a very quick blink. Kelazhur does scout it, and he is going to be looking to still probably go for the Widowmine drop. It is good to go for a Widowmine drop against the Twilight Council opener. Now, if you're convinced that your opponent's going to go 4-gate Blink Stalker, you might do something that Clem kind of pioneered to deal with Max Pax's 4-gate Blink, which is a single Widowmine drop. But he's not up against Max Pax, so it is just going to be that much more standard Hero Marine double Widowmine drop. No Hellion with this, so it's not exactly what I'm describing, but it is still a light pressure build and will be siege tank behind it to 1, shore up his defense against a potential follow-up blink play, and 2, to have a potential for a counterattack a little bit later on.
Yeah, the thing that I'm watching as we see Firefly, as the game goes on a little bit, we're gonna have to see how much this drop gets done. And actually, it's gonna get found out. Yeah, Adept's gonna find things. Stalker's behind, so this light pressure from Kelazhur is actually not allowed to move on to the other side of the map. Not yet, and yeah, the Adept's gonna see this anyways. But what I'm tracking is how many gateways Firefly gets and whether he gets the Robo. And the answer is 2 and no for now. He's got Blink just about done, but this is a 2-gate expand build, which I talked to a couple players going into Katowice, and I was told, yeah, 2-gate expand's dead. You can't put enough pressure on the Terran. You cannot make them uncomfortable enough. And those Terran aggressive openings are really, really scary. Once the Terran gets the aggression started, it becomes very hard. But they always have to look at whatever they're doing. They can't just kind of YOLO Zealots into a base. They have to, their attention is at a significant premium. So, see, we're going to see the Widowmine drop. Medevac falls, and the probe pull is going to be just in time. So it's going to be 2 dead probes, but the rest of this drop will eventually fall, which is, again, pretty nice for Firefly. The fact that we're seeing this is, again, just a tiny bit surprising to me, considering everything I was hearing from players going into Katowice. But what this does mean is that by getting this gateway, or not getting as many gateways, your third base is faster, your charge can be faster, your forge and your +1 armor, all of these things be just a little bit faster. The last point I want to make before this gets really started is that there is a Robo for Firefly in this game, number 3. He skipped it in game 1. That meant that he couldn't see the Widowmines easily. That meant he only had a pylon to reinforce. This one is going to be slightly more tech heavy.
Well, it's definitely different tech in order to do so, because he did have that Stargate and he used it for the Oracle, but it's more consistent tech in order to deal with that, because you do not want to have to replace that Oracle if you have need detection. 25, 75, and yes, robo time is at a premium, but 150 is a lot more. We do see a very quick Warp Prism, to your point. And Firefly, he is a very aggressive player. He cut workers at 55 last game. He's cutting again at the same number. It looks like, for all me saying, Firefly might not go for this, he is going for that 2-gas charge lot stalker play. And it is his bread and butter. He does like to play this style. But I am a little bit surprised with how simultaneously well it went for him in game number 1, and also how poorly it turned out, because he got a free kill basically on the 3rd command center and still lost that game. So I'm a little bit surprised I do hope that he techs into some meaningful splash damage after the early stage. Even though it's not his tendency, I think it is super important to do so.
It is. He is getting better tech this time already. He's gotten Immortal out. All right, that can handle the Marauder count really nicely. That is just a really nice, significant extra bit of damage. So we're gonna have a bit of a pause here, getting ready to take a look at what's happening. The other thing we have to point out, by the way, as we talk about this, well, I had a thought, and then we lost the thought because I'm distracted by the pause and taking a look at production things. But at this point, right, you have upgrades. You have this Immortal that's getting added in. And as long as Firefly is, there we go, that's what I was looking for. Firefly is not like too committed, it can work out pretty nicely. But you did say Firefly's cutting probes, and like technically yes, because he's not at 66. But I don't know that we can call that cutting probes when just the point of the build is you don't mine gas, right? You only get 2 gas, that's all you need to power your upgrades, your building gateway units. You don't need 4 gas, you don't need 6 gas to go and really make that happen. So I don't know that we can necessarily call it cutting probes versus just, this is the style, you know, this is where you get, this is what you need.
Yeah, but I mean, the style is cutting probes. Like it's, and he cut probes in game number 1 because he was going up to a 4th base. Granted, he may have been on full mineral saturation, but I still consider that cutting probes, even if it is a part of the style. Look at that. Well, there we go. 2 additional gases and more probes. So Firefly maybe taking a minute to say, you know what? Tech is good. I do like make tech. And I'm very happy to see that, because I really do think that like the 2 gas charge play style, while it can be very effective, it is on a bit of a timer, and I would say a pretty hard timer versus Terran. So I'm happy to see that he switches things up. Zealot drop in the main base. Oh, cute little micro here, actually forcing out a fair bit of friendly fire from the siege tanks, getting a couple extra SCVs with that. Very nice little heads up play from Firefly to use that siege tank against his opponent. And Firefly actually very quickly went up to 6 gases all of a sudden. Okay, and yeah, he's teching super hard now, getting that robotics bay. With it being double gas, 2 bases worth of gas is taken all at once. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd actually thrown down a second robo, just because you can kind of afford that tech. Great scout from Kelazhur. We'll see that his opponent has added on this tech while being able to grab a couple of probes. Actually, he's not targeting with these. Yeah, he's not targeting with the auto turret, so he doesn't get any probes. And wait, did he just lose? He did just lose the Raven. Ooh, that's a big oopsie.
I guess he got 1 probe as the Zealots are going to try to move in. Missile turret makes this a little bit harder. You can't be quite as annoying Firefly as you were earlier on. But the cool thing about this as well is we see what Firefly's doing, right? Moving on to double Robo, Colossus, extended Thermal Lance, getting Immortals, teching up, getting all this gas. He is kind of trained. He has trained Kelazhur. Or Prism's dead. He has kind of trained Kelazhur almost by how he's been playing in ESL Masters Asia and in the qualifiers and in online cups and everything else. He has trained his Terran opponents to think, okay, he's going to go mass charge lot, whatever. I got to play defensively. So the 3rd base, while it was done at a decent time, was held back in the main base for quite a while. This army, though, coming out of Kelazhur, it's up 30 army supply. It's got +1, absolutely. +1 armor's on the way, but it's a beefy boy. It is a hard thing without our Colossus to be done, but the Immortals here and the sentries on the high ground, they have an opportunity. Kelazhur's going to try to stim on top, knocks the force fields down, at least some of them, but does trade a lot of his army in the exchange. And by the way, those charge lots that Firefly absolutely loves, they're finding their way into the 3rd base. There's a bunker in the natural, sure, that Kelazhur rather intelligently never sacrificed or never salvaged. But the run by is slowing him down just a tiny bit.
Man, those were some really great force fields from Firefly. Kelazhur, though, very greedy to go up that ramp into 4 Immortals with the number of force fields and sentries available. It was very clear that if Firefly got some good force fields, that was going to be a really bad fight for Kelazhur trying to force that. And he tried to force it anyways. Kelazhur not getting a good trade there in the slightest. Firefly going to be very happy about that one. And Firefly, for his part, he's on the doubled forge. He's getting very close to +1 armor. He's already got 3 Colossus on the field, and that extended thermal lance just finished up. I am really liking Firefly's position in this game number 3.
I am as well. Now, I feel like I'm almost in a situation. There are some Vikings, but it's only 2. I feel like I want to see Firefly get a 4th Colossus. And I know that seems weird, but against a player like Kelazhur, we talked about this in the Estrella series the other day. He's one of these players that will really skimp on his Viking count. He's not quite Bjorn, where he doesn't hate it quite as much as Bjorn does. But we're not going to see him build that many Vikings. He doesn't even have a reactor, I guess, on the starport right now, building Vikings 1 at a time. Going into 4 Colossus can be a really powerful idea, or 7 Colossus if you're Estrella, but I don't think that's going to happen. But now Firefly's got inside track onto the 3rd base. The tank goes down very quickly, and Kelazhur's kind of waffling. He's looking to set up a surround maybe, but Firefly happy with what he gets a tank, backs away, gives up, looks for a better position maybe, but now this is Kelazhur that has the high ground, and attacking into this one feels really hard. But the Guardian Shield is soaking everything, and then all the Zealots from the right side. Force fields are incredible for Firefly, and Kelazhur loses so much here despite holding the high ground.
That was an amazing fight from Firefly. We just don't see Protoss players going for Zealot flanks like that. I think it's the one biggest thing missing from Protoss play at the top level in this matchup. But Kelazhur getting absolutely broadsided right there. There's something really interesting about this, is this game is, well, it is going to be a bit of a base trade, but I don't know if Kelazhur can really do anything here. He actually doesn't have any SCVs on the map, and there's should be no way for him to hold this main base. He will finish up the +2 attack, which is nice, but the army supplies are really heavily in favor of Firefly here. And there it is. GG well played gets called. Something really crucial. I talked about you cannot metagame an opponent. Firefly switches things up.